Thank you, Dina. So I thought in my 20s and 30s, just last year, just saying, that being more spiritual, whatever you want to call it, deepening your relationship with God is something that would make me contract or that would stifle living or require things to be more devout, whatever that means, that somehow life might be less fun, less free, because I grew up in a faith tradition that was about sticking to dogma and always thinking about what you shouldn't do. And I always kind of felt frozen in it and abbreviated somehow, that somehow I couldn't be my full self within that structure. And as I started to branch out and find my own way of celebrating life and celebrating God and getting acquainted with a God that had meaning for me, that resonated with my heart, that was the God that I thought always existed, but nobody was talking about, at least not in my world. And because I always thought that God was about joy and light and sunshine and warmth and freedom and a different kind of love than what I was hearing about. And so for a long time, I just didn't want to venture there because I thought, I don't want to feel more abbreviated than I am. It's interesting that I'm using the word abbreviated because that kind of, that just kind of came through. Because abbreviated means I'm not my full self. Like a contraction is not the full word. And I had had enough contraction in my life. A lot of don't do. We can't. And so it did take many years before I was able to find something that was expansive. And yes, that was unity principles, new thought principles, things that were about living itself and a way to not only find yourself, but to expand yourself within the understanding of God. It's one thing if God is something separate from you, and there's this God looking down on you, and I think the looking down is the part of the thing that feels so constrictive. As opposed to thinking of a God that permeates everything, that isn't anything, everything, including me. And when I was wrestling with spirituality and God and religion and what does this mean to me, and I want something that's meaningful, I want something that does permeate my whole life, and then having the courage to step into it, to continue reading about it, to continue thinking about it, and continue meditating about it, and spending time in that expansiveness, in that nothingness where there was no prayer given to me, but I was able to pray my own prayer and to just be in the silence and to let whatever's going to come through my heart be spoken to the divine as the divine was speaking to me. And mostly, that journey of expansiveness was about just being quiet and letting the divine speak to me, rather than through an intermediary who was ordained and taught how to speak to me about a God that I don't know that they ever said I don't have direct access to, but it was just so much better to get it through somebody who knew and was ordained to tell me what was right and what was wrong. So it was interesting being in that silence after I stopped struggling with being able to be quiet for a while and just letting myself enjoy the quiet. Enjoy, because I never put the word enjoy and God in the same sentence. I just never did. And I know that's what I always longed for, that I wanted God and joy in the same sentence for me. I wanted that in my life for me. And that's what I spent so many years not seeing. So where are all the happy people? Where's all the happy people who talk about God and who talk about what they love about God? And they weren't in my world, certainly. Maybe something was wrong with my world. Granted, there was. We had our stuff. And maybe that's why I was longing all that time for joy and wanting to see the intersection of joy and God in my life. So I think I know that's why the silence is so important, because it allows us to be in that quiet, and it allows us to explore the quiet and to let the quiet explore us and to let the quiet explore you. And I think being in the quiet is a brave thing, because we don't know what's going to come up. We don't know what's going to come up. When I'm in the quiet, sometimes my grief comes up. In a moment before I started speaking, my grief was coming up, because I'm going to a celebration of life today. I've been fine all this time. And then this morning, as things got quiet, as Dina's singing, I'm starting to feel things come up. But I don't fear it anymore, because I know in that experience, I always meet the divine, and the divine always meets me. And I get to be free in that, in my emotion and everything else that's coming up. And that makes life good. And I think that's when we start to know that that sun is always shining. And perhaps I'm colorblind and I don't see the whole garden, but I'm aware that the garden's there, and I just have to step into the garden or open my eyes to it and enjoy the color and the smell of the flowers, so to speak. I think there is, I keep saying I think, and I do know, that there is, the more we step into ourselves as divine and into our knowledge of the divine being all there is, that there is an expansion of color. It's almost like all of a sudden the blinders are taken off, and now there's color everywhere. And now there's color everywhere. And like Pete was saying, you can also appreciate the blacks, the grays, the somber color. I now love rainy days. I can appreciate the rain. I love a good storm. When Mother Nature is just doing her thing, and we stand in awe of that, the thunder, the lightning, you see the sky pierced with light, all of that. All of that now, I see God in that. Just as much as I see God on a sunny day, and when the flowers are blooming, and when spring comes and all of a sudden there's an explosion of green everywhere. I can see God in the fall as the leaves are falling off the trees and the trees are bare. I feel God there too. So there was an expansiveness for me when I let go of all of the structure that man puts on God. And we just let ourselves be free in the Godness of life. In the Godness of life. And life becomes so much more. So much more. I talk about this often because I think it's important. I think it's important for us to realize that it isn't just about this hour and 15 minutes that we spend together here on Sunday morning. It is so much more. This is the tip of the iceberg in here. And what we feel in others' company, this joy and this bliss and this love that we feel with each other is the tip of the iceberg if we will let ourselves go deep with God and as God. And let God go deep with us. And just open the door and say, do with me what you will. I didn't always have the courage to say, do with me what you will, because I was afraid it was about contracting again. And I've never had more freedom, never had more joy, never had more love as I have now. And I know that there's all more, that even as I experience it now, I know this is still the tip of the iceberg, because if I keep the door open, then more floods in. More floods in. And so as much bliss as you can have now, there's always more. There's always more. I think we have to get away from the structure. Humankind has had all kinds of reasons to develop structure with religion. A lot of it had nothing to do with God. Had nothing to do with God. And it certainly had nothing to do with our freedom or expansiveness. And I love now that I can have the fullness of God without anybody between me and that God. That I can have forgiveness, I can have joy, love, redemption, all of it by myself in the quiet. And even amongst the chaos, I can have all of that at the same time. But we have to let ourselves be free. We have to be courageous enough to say, I'm here. I'm here. Show me the fullness of me. Take me on a journey I've never been on before and not know where the heck you're going. And not know where you're going. But say that I believe in the all good, and I'll go with you, the all good. As you call me out to greater things, I'll go with you. I'll go as you. I will go as you. I will go as you. And your life just opens up. Possibilities open up. And then we get to use our power of imagination to create even more. Which you can conceive and believe and be grateful for, we can have. We can have. Expansiveness, room to grow, room to run free. Room to be whatever it is you think you've ever wanted to be. You know, all those things we dream about as little kids, and then we shut it off because it doesn't feel reasonable or somebody said we shouldn't. Usually the message for me was, well, I don't know if you can make a living doing that. And I'm thankful that my parents wanted me to be able to make a living and have a life and be able to take care of myself and be free in that. That's a good message. I love that. But also there can be freedom in that. And as I explore more of that, I even have to stop listening to some of the business folks, the entrepreneurs out there who keep saying you can only do it this way. That if you don't do it, and you don't do it within the grind and the hustle, you're not going to be successful. Got to have the grind and the hustle. You got to lose sleep. You can only sleep 4 hours a night. Because all that's downtime. You could be out there doing the hustle, making it work, make it work, make it work, make it work, make it work. Because all the deadbeats are sleeping, getting 8 hours. Yeah, the only people getting 8 hours of sleep are deadbeats. That's what they're teaching us. And I kept saying, as soon as I kept hearing that, and I kept thinking, I don't want to, because I have done that. I have burned the candle at both ends and in the middle. And when that didn't give me enough time, I would take the match and try to burn the candle in between at the quarter pieces. Until my candle's all melted and I can't do a thing. And I did that a number of times, ran up into that brick wall and hit it full force until I decided I'm tired of hitting the brick wall. I'm tired of hitting the brick wall. And that my spirituality teaches me that I can have what I call into existence. I can have what I call into existence, and I'm grateful for. So all this time I've been working on what's a new reality for me that I want to call into as a way of doing business so that I can do what I am called to do without killing myself. Because I'm no longer willing to do that. No longer willing to do that. And there's no fun in expansiveness within that structure of beating yourself to death until you're successful and happy. Because at the end of that is not success and happiness. It's not. All there are, I think, are bragging rights at the end while you're curled up in a fetal position, wishing you hadn't done that and wishing you felt better and that you were happier and that your partner didn't leave you because you were just working all the time. It's all possible. We just have to imagine it and say we want it. And be grateful for it. Claim it and be grateful. Claim it and be grateful. Claim it and be grateful. And expand into whatever it is you want to call forth. Expand into whatever it is. Whatever it is, God is there. God is in the journey. God is at the destination. And if you're looking to expand, you'll find that you'll never get there because there's always something to expand into. There's always more you. There's always more love. There's always more compassion, more harmony, more unity. There's always more understanding and wisdom. More understanding and wisdom. There's always more saturated color in the beauty of the garden that is life. And our perception just gets sharper if we'll allow ourselves to go there. But we got to let go. We've got to open up our arms, our minds, our hearts, our consciousness to something else and stop being enveloped by the structures that we've been given. So we get out of the chicken pen, pecking around on the ground, eyes down, picking up feed, and you decide, I want to soar with the eagles. I want to be up above. I want to be on the mountaintop, surveying all there is and enjoying all of that. One of the most beautiful sights I think I've ever seen is when you watch an eagle come down off the tallest tree, swoop down in the water, because he's seen a fish in the water and rush down there and snatch that thing up and keep moving. And keep moving. Something that probably weighs more than he does. And that wingspan just opens up and takes him. Oh, it's just incredible. If they can see that far, their perception is that great. That's what life can be, where you can soar with the eagles and not have to be pecking around on the ground, eking out, some kind of living somebody said is good for you to have, is what you deserve, or whatever, or what we told ourselves. A lot of times it's not about what others say, it's about what we told ourselves. We have to expand what we tell ourselves, what we think about our lives and what's possible for us. What's possible for us. And so I invite you to start thinking about the words you're saying to yourself about your life and your abilities. As soon as you hear yourself in contraction or in abbreviation, stop mid-sentence and reframe it. And don't speak again aloud about yourself until you have an expansive affirmation about what you want to call into your life and what your life's going to be. Sit in the silence and let God, your soul, your beingness speak to you and call you out. And ask. I dare you to ask. What do you have for me? What do you have for me today, in this moment, this year, for the rest of my days? Because as long as you have breath, you're here for something. You're here for something. Even if you're only here another 30 days, 3 months, 60 years, whatever. You're here for something, to do some kind of work in all the gloriousness of life. In all the gloriousness of life. So what do we choose? You want this, or you want this? Taking full breath, arms out wide, every single day. My friend Dottie, who we're celebrating later today, her favorite prayer was, lead me where you need me, and speak to me in ways that I can't possibly misunderstand. And we all belonged to a group, and we would meet at her house every month. And if some of us prayed that, we would talk about where we were led. Where did that prayer take us? Because it's a bold prayer. Lead me where you need me. Tell me and be clear about what you want me to do, what you want me to be. Lead me where you need me. You can ask in your silence, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Where are you taking me? Who will I bless? Who will I bless? Who's waiting for a word, a smile, my energy, my presence, my touch? Who's waiting for me today? Lead me to them. Lead me to them. Knowing that in each moment we too are blessed. And that everything you hope for is going to come through in that calling. That we are blessed as we bless. That we are blessed as we bless. But that comes in expansion. It comes in being free, in calling in the joy, expecting nothing but joy. In all that we are given, all that we are called to do, all that we are called to be, there's joy. There's joy. And I think we can have life and have God and enjoy in the same sentence, in the same experience. And just be free to be exactly who we are, because I believe that's what we're doing here. We're each uniquely different because there was some gift that we were supposed to give that nobody else can give like us. like us. And all of your days, from your first breath until now, are equipping you to do just that. To do just that. And then open your arms to more expansion, to a greater gift that is you. Let's take this in a meditation. So just breathe and relax. For there is no expansion without relaxation. Let yourself relax. And what could an expanded you look like? If you weren't caught within some structure, either from family, friends, religion, whatever. What if you were just free to be fully you? What would that look and feel like? How much joy could you have? What if you had 1,000 times the amount of love that's presently in your life? What if 1,000 times more came rushing in? What would that feel like? What if you affirmed that you have more than enough energy to do all that you're called to be and do? What if you stepped into full expression without the structure of age? Or the structure of your bank account? Or some self-imposed limitation? What if you stepped into each day with your arms open wide? Expecting only good, only love. Expecting more. What if you asked for your highest and best each morning? What if you gave thanks for an overflowing of goodness into your life? An overflowing of goodness. So much goodness, you're incapable of wiping the smile off of your face. What if you opened your arms wide? And gave all that you are looking for? Knowing that it'll circle back and bless you. That all that you give is coming back your way tenfold and more. What if you banish fear from your consciousness? And each day began with a boldness, a courage, a bravery that you've never acted from before. What if in the time of the silence you felt expansiveness and love and so much a part of the divine that you were vibrating with that goodness and with that love? An infinite, inexhaustible love and energy and wisdom and joy, joy, joy. Blinding, brilliant light that is you, that is the divine, that is life. And so we take a deep breath now together, breathing in love and life and exhaling, knowing that there's so much more waiting for us if only we'll open our arms wide. Just breathe and bring it in and breathe it out. Goodness in, goodness out. Vibrant life in, vibrant life out. Peace in, peace out. Harmony and unity enough to heal this world and banish separation. That's how much love you have. So here in this moment we say yes and thank you for freedom and expansion. Yes, and thank you for freedom and expansion. I am free to be totally, fully me, knowing that in each moment, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.